Welcome back, everyone, to the Hot Slice podcast brought to you by the professionals at Pizza Today magazine. Joining me today is executive editor of Pizza Today, Denise Greer. Hello, Denise.
Hello, Josh. Professionals. I like that.
I just thought I'd throw it in there, give us a
Yeah.
little rub.
Yeah.
I am senior creative director of Pizza Expo and Pizza Today, Josh Cowan, and thanks for joining us today.
Hey, yes. Thank you so much. So we are in the midst of February. It's now getting towards the end of February. We've come to the end of February somehow very, very quickly.
I
Uh,
well, I felt like January lasted for about 3 years, and February has just went by just like that. So, yeah, it's been an odd years, but
Yeah, it is. And my heart goes out to pizzeria operators right now because the hard thing about this February is Super Bowl Sunday and and National Pizza Day happened on the same day. So the hardest part about that is that they missed out on a high volume day, like
right.
because they usually get the two. So then they were put together. But you did get Valentine's Day on a Friday. So I imagine Friday was killer for them last week, especially those that were rocking the heart-shaped pizzas.
Yeah, and, I know more and more people are not going out as much to dinner on Valentine's Day because they
Mhm.
know it's just going to be a mess. So, ordering in pizza is the perfect complement for that. So, I hope that everybody did well on Valentine's Day.
I do too. It's just it's amazing. So now, all right, so we're right now at the end of February, which means we're a little over a month from Pizza Expo. I mean, we are in the midst of the final stages of getting everything together for Pizza Expo and getting everybody there and excited. And we're all just getting super stoked.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling it right now. My job sheet is pretty overloaded, but it's all good. It's all
Yeah.
exciting stuff, and
How
and
many digital signs do you have to do? How many
I've
how many
lost count of
signs?
I've lost count of
A
signage.
couple thousand signs?
Not that many, but that is a lot. But yeah, I'm super excited about it anyway. And it's all worth
Yeah.
it in the end, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to say is make sure, like, as you're planning on Pizza Expo, make sure you plan to visit us at Pizza Today so we can get you onto this podcast because we want to have you on the podcast at Expo because we just love having the energy on the podcast from the show. So that is my one plug for Pizza Today and the podcast.
I do know one thing I need to talk about first is we do have a combo deal going on right now. So this is my pitch, but it's you get 3 days all access at the Pizza Expo, and you get one in-depth workshop, and those workshops are no joke. They're really good deep dives. So we have a combo of that. So go on pizzaexpo.com. I think it's the first thing that pops up when you get there, and look into that. It's a
Abs
good offer.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many deals right now for Pizza Expo, so you really need to get out there and get that combo deal because I mean that those sessions that those deep dive sessions, I mean you get a 4 hour session where you actually are going to dive in and get really intense training on that subject matter and take home material. So you're going to come home with
Into
something
the weeds, they might say.
into the weeds. I like that. And speaking of into the weeds, our guest today is a Pizza Expo speaker. And by the way, it is her first year speaking at Pizza Expo. So we're excited to have a whole new lineup of speakers. And we've brought in Melinda Carbajal, and she is the managing member and CEO of Simply Pizza in Denver, Colorado. And it is not just your average mobile pizza business at all. Like the things that they are doing is super ahead. It's amazing their business and their hybrid model that we'll get into, Josh. Wow.
Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to meet Melinda before today, and she blew me away.
Yes, you
Like
did.
she is so on top of everything. With the exact opposite of me. Like me looking at paperwork, I just want to just just put my head in the pillow. I can't do that kind of stuff. But she excels at that, and she excels at, grant writing. She excels a lot of that stuff that some of the creative folk who just like to make good pizzas don't, excel at. So she's
Yes.
got a really, really good hold on what she's doing, and I learned a lot of new stuff today from her.
Absolutely. I did too. And I love that she has such a diverse background. I mean, kindergarten teacher, working in government, working in like the private sector. She's done so much and you bring all that experience. And the story of how she started the business was so funny. So I'm not even going to give it away, but
It
it was
completely caught
really
me off
great.
guard, though. I'm like, oh, well, this is fun. So,
Exactly. Exactly. But so definitely get a taste for what one of her sessions is going to be like right here on the podcast. So let's just dive into speaking with Melinda.
Are you ready to elevate your bakeware game? Spokane, Washington-based Lloyd Pans is the trusted name for professionals and home chefs alike. For over 40 years, Lloyd Pans has been creating innovative food service, bakeware, and pizza pans and tools designed to deliver perfect results every time. Whether it's crispy golden pizza crusts or perfectly baked pastries, Lloyd Pans' durable, stick-resistant, and proprietary pan finishes are a game changer. Visit lloydpans.com to explore our full lineup and find your perfect pan today. Need shipping quotes or custom products? Email sales@lloydpans.com for personalized service. Performance Food Service is proud to deliver high-quality products, innovative technology, and custom operational solutions to restaurants of all sizes across the country. The flagship division of Performance Food Group, with deep roots in the restaurant industry, Performance Food Service has been the exclusive distributor of the Roma family of brands for more than 65 years. This signature relationship has allowed Performance Food Service to become a leader in the pizza and Italian segment of food service nationwide.
Well, hey there, Melinda. Welcome to the show and welcome to the Pizza Expo family as well.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I could not be happier to be a part of the Pizza Expo family.
Yeah, excellent. And you're speaking at Pizza Expo. You actually have three sessions at Pizza Expo. So
wow,
isn't that
I
amazing?
didn't know
Like,
it was that many. Wow.
yeah, she's got three sessions. It's amazing. So first, let's tell people who you are and kind of a little bit of your background, so they can kind of get to know you a little bit before the show.
Yeah, awesome. So, Melinda Carbajal again. I am a CEO and managing member of Simply Pizza out of Denver, Colorado. We currently operate hybrid and mobile style restaurants and catering services across the entire Denver metro and really across the state of Colorado. Uh, my background, though, is not in pizza originally. So I went to school for education, taught kindergartners and preschools for a long time. I did a lot of work in the community as a liaison. I went back to school for business, my bachelor's of science, and then I got my family drunk and we bought a pizza truck. Um, so that's where we come from.
I have a quick question, real quick.
Yeah.
What's tougher, kindergartners or the pizza business?
Oh, that is a good question.
Both. No, I think kindergartners like pizza's pretty fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's absolutely hard work. But I quit teaching because I had my own kids and like going to work all day with kids and coming home all night with kids. It's like it's a lot. That's too much.
You're like, I can't do it. I can't
No.
do it.
So tell us about this getting your family drunk and buying a mobile pizza.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I got to hear about it.
Yeah, so all of my partners had past careers too. My husband, Amando, he does reverse osmosis work to clean water and testing. My sister, a doctor of psychology. Um, and so I just wanted to do something different. And we had a dream of owning a family business. And so what that looked like was I had hired this food truck to come and do some of the events I did for the community. And it was just him and his wife and his two girls, and they were graduating high school. And he wanted to give it to somebody who loved it as much as he did. And so he's like, Melinda, I know you love the truck. We've worked with you now for 5 years. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, I think we're crazy enough to make this happen. So I got them drunk on my birthday. Everyone thought it was a great idea, or maybe they didn't, but they agreed. And that's the beginning of where all the magic started.
I love that like you didn't have this on your radar, like as you looked at your bingo card for life, you know that a pizza truck was not on it for the longest time. And
No.
then and then all of a sudden you switch gears. How was that adjustment to be able to to come into the pizza business and to come into that food truck and find success?
You know, it wasn't that easy at first because we didn't know what we were doing. My husband is a passionate home chef, and honestly, like he's self-trained, but he's phenomenal. And
Hmm.
so I knew that he could carry that culinary side. When I was going to college, I had managed as a general manager multiple Wendy's chains.
Hmm.
So I had a scope of like how the food industry works in terms of fast service.
Yeah.
That was pretty much all we were offering at the time. We did 6 months of training when we bought the company, and we got it in October of 2019. And so we'd done all this training. We were going to just be like the best food truck pizza operators on the planet. And then you know what happened next?
Yeah.
Right.
A few months later, COVID hit. And everything we had learned about the pizza business, well, in terms of like crafting pizza, that was still relevant, but everything else was out. And so, really, all of our past experiences were gold in turning ourselves out for COVID.
How so? What did you guys take from each other?
Well, I think a lot of different things. I was a grant writer when I worked for the city, and so I started looking and utilizing grants. And first, when grants first came available for for-profit businesses during COVID, we utilized them for like technology stuff or stuff. So we were getting PP&E or like just equipment basics. But what happened later is that I was like, whoa, wait, we'll take our community service component and grant writing and put it together and we'll drive business through that. So we started writing grants to feed people in need. There
Hmm.
were all these community members that didn't have access to food, especially children, because they weren't in schools. And so we
Yeah.
wrote grants. And to date, we're over $200,000, but we've served 25,000 free meals over the last 4 years utilizing grants.
That's amazing. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that grants are there and you can get them. You just have to understand how to do the grant writing. And I've done a little bit of grant writing, and it there is some finite things that you have to go through to make that happen. What kind of tips do you have for folks that want to go that route?
I mean, you should come to my class. That's the first tip that I
Right.
have, Denise. Um,
Nice.
no, I think just like never think that you're off the table. That's my first bit of advice. Like oftentimes we get into a grant, we start reading it and we're like, oh, are we qualified? Does that make sense for us?
Hmm.
You can make it make sense for you. So know your story, know your audience, know what your goal is or who you're trying to impact, and then like move through the world without a fear that it doesn't exist for you.
Yeah. I love that. So while we're talking about your classes, so you've got a class coming up at Pizza Expo called Writing Your Food Truck Business Plan. And so I'm curious to know a little bit more about that class. And then I have a specific question after you tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so that class has been in my head as I prepare for Expo the hardest. And that seems so silly because what we do is that, right? We run food trucks, we run mobile hybrid restaurants. And so I've been thinking like, why is that the hardest class? Because you can get the information on the internet. You
Hmm.
can type into AI, create me a food truck business plan. Like, why does anyone want to come see me and learn how I think you should write a food truck business plan? And so I think the cool thing about that class or how I'm going to take that on is that I'm going to give you all the things you shouldn't do
Hmm.
as you're writing a food truck business plan, all the mistakes that we've made. And believe me, we've made so many mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just going to be a different take on that. We'll
Yeah.
help you create some skeletal formation of that. And then also, we'll give you all the things that you should run from. Like if you're just sitting waiting for people to come to you, don't do it. If you're just a great chef, but you don't have any business knowledge, get a business coach before you do it. If you have
Yeah.
zero funding to get started, don't take on a big loan and hope. Like just some fine basics. We'll spend a lot of time talking about how I screwed up
Hmm.
and how you can be better out the gate. And then the things that we've learned that make us great.
And that's a big thing. And a lot of people are afraid of failure or afraid of mistakes, but everyone we talked to in business, they learned more and they were able to teach more through their failures or mistakes to be able to drive business and to
Absolutely.
drive growth.
Yeah,
So,
failure is the most important thing in being eventually a success. It's the most important
mhm.
thing. You have to have it. So yeah, this is a great class. I'm glad you're teaching it.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited about that. And hopefully it's just a different perspective. So something you can come and learn. Even if you're not looking for a food truck business plan, maybe you're looking to refine it. Maybe there's something you haven't learned yet. I think it'll
Mhm.
be a place for people to come.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you kind of mentioned something that was in my head as far as a question for you. And that was you mentioned AI. And there's a lot of advice out there saying, just go into ChatGPT and just start prompting and start doing prompts to help them write your business plan. Um, and how is experiential learning vital to this process versus just going in and asking for prompts?
Oh man, it's everything. Like I said, we paid for training when we started and people gave us all this training and
Hmm.
still we went out and hit our head against the wall over and
Yeah.
over and over again. And I think, when they're creating a business plan or on AI and we're utilizing that technology, they're looking at like what a lot of trucks do. And we know that there is a market for food trucks that's massive across the
Hmm.
country.
Yeah.
Something like 4,000 are registered in the state of Colorado.
Hmm.
Maybe it's more now, but a ton of food trucks. And so, what are most food trucks doing? That's what AI takes the information from, and that's how they produce the results. And I don't want to say that we are one of few, but there are not that many food trucks that are running at the capacity that we're running at. And so, I think if you look at those numbers of food trucks and you think, okay, there's probably a good 30 that I know in the Denver metro area that have like a solid business model. Is AI grabbing the information from those 30 to
Yeah.
create the plan, or is it more this base market? Like get your truck, figure out where you're going to park it, hope that people come, I think is more the model people think about when they think about food trucks.
Hmm.
Popping up at breweries or sitting outside. But what I know is that that doesn't create good revenue
Yeah.
and that it's not a solid business model. Now, people are still doing it and it can work out in your favor,
Hmm.
um, maybe, but it's
Yeah.
really risky.
Yeah. I
T-
would say so.
Tell us a little bit. You said hybrid. Tell us, get into that a little bit. What's the hybrid mean in the food truck situation?
Yeah, so when COVID was happening, I said we had to utilize like any amount of grit, tenacity, and past experience we had. And so a lot of people in Colorado, you couldn't serve beer unless you had food during that COVID time. And so people were like, can you just leave the truck? Please just bring us the truck and leave the truck. At the time, we had one asset. And it wasn't making phenomenal money, but it was still a very expensive asset. If you've seen our truck, we don't just like leave it sitting outside and like,
Right.
waiting for people to come to it. So in our living room of our house, we took duct tape and we taped out restaurants in 20-foot shipping containers. And we built what we call hybrid restaurants,
Mhm.
or sometimes we call them residency restaurants. What we do with those is we drop them off in locations. So they're not on wheels, they're not a trailer, they're not on a truck. They get dropped off in different locations and they offer a restaurant for a residency for a limited amount of time.
I love that. That is so
Yeah,
smart.
very smart. I don't think I've heard of that before. So yeah, that's very smart.
Now, how hard was it to make a shipping container fit what you needed that to be?
Well, cool enough, the truck is just a shipping container that's attached to an international.
Okay.
So we already operate in that 20-foot space. Like
Okay.
that's like the nature of our business, really small footprint restaurants.
Hmm.
Um, so it's different because in the truck there's a drop down, so you buy yourself more space with the people taking orders or expediting your customer service kind of out of the way. And
Hmm.
in the boxes you don't. So there's a dance.
Yeah.
But we're putting out a ton of volume in 20-foot boxes. One of our locations is at the Denver Zoo.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so we're seeing hundreds and hundreds of guests a day out of a 20-foot restaurant.
Oh yeah, pizza and Denver Zoo. Yeah, you're doing well at the Denver Zoo, I would imagine.
Except for in this weather, Denise, this dang
Yes.
weather.
I know it is. We're getting it too. We're done with winter. I don't know if you are done, but we've
Yeah,
said
we're
we're
so
done,
done.
so we're just waiting.
Yes.
So, um, so when you talk about these the containers that you're able to put different places, what's the scope of that, and how are you able to decide what's going to be successful for you, or are you basically just licensing it to the business that you're dropping it at, and then they handle everything?
As of now, we have not done that. We have been working on some franchise stuff utilizing the
Mhm.
shipping containers, but right now we only operate them. So they're licensed as mobiles. So one of the things that was great about our my past work in government is that I understand licensing and
Yeah,
policy and how to
it's
kind of
important.
rip through that and identify like what works and what doesn't and how we interpret it and how we get people to interpret what we want them to.
Hmm.
Um, which is something that I'll talk about a little bit in that food truck class too. Your ability to kind of create law and policy and change it. So we had some really big struggles at first coming out and licensing them because they said easily movable. And so we're like, shipping containers move all over the world, guys. Come
Hmm.
on, it should be
Yeah.
easy. And they were like, no, they need wheels. And we're like, that's not what the law says. The law says
Hmm.
they have to be readily movable. So
Pick them
at
up,
one
move them.
point in the city and county of Denver, this might be unpopular opinion by them, but I said, hey, let's make a deal. I'm going to drop it on the Capitol stairs. And if you can't move it in an hour, then we'll agree that it's not readily movable and we'll move on and do a different plan. And they said, sign that paper. And that was our license that started us in Denver.
Oh, I love
So
that.
I think it's just knowing what you're working with, like
Yeah.
truly educating yourself on every scope of a business is like such a key.
So many inner working parts, and being
Yeah,
able to maneuver through that is it's just a dance. It's so funny. It's just
every day.
so hard. um so another session you're going to do at Pizza Expo, which I'm very excited about, is catering, because catering, everyone knows in this industry, catering is the number one additional revenue service for any pizza business, whether it is a food truck, standalone business, whatever you have you, that catering is the go-to for additional revenue. So tell us a little bit about what you're
Yeah,
going to
I
do
think
in
catering could
catering.
almost not be the additional revenue, but it could be the revenue
Yeah.
of a solid restaurant business in
Hmm.
general. So because we're mobile, obviously we lean into catering really, really high, specifically with our truck. The truck does only catering or extremely high volume events. So
Yeah.
we just finished the National Western Stock Show in January. We're
Hmm.
talking hundreds of thousands of guests every day. That makes sense for our business. Or we're doing weddings or graduations or bar mitzvahs. And that is the entire that side of our business. We run about 40% of our revenue is through catering.
Yeah.
Um, and we have the zoo. So
Yeah.
like when you look at the revenue numbers, that's
Yeah.
like a big part of what we're doing. I think I think in my catering class specifically, some of the things that I'm going to talk about is partnership. I'll talk about partnership with food trucking and partnership with catering, but you should be going out and catering regularly. Lunches, dinners, like all the things. It's
Hmm.
such an easy thing to add to what you're already doing. Put
Hmm.
together a small team that can be shipped out to do that work. It's a barbecue. Somebody wants barbecue, for instance.
Hmm.
And I just read a pizza today about the barbecue pizza, right?
Yeah.
And so you can make barbecue. If you're putting out barbecue on a pizza, I hope you're making good barbecue, right? Number
Oh.
one. And if you are, then why can't you cater that?
Yeah.
And then utilize that as cross ingredients in your restaurant. So you can go beyond, hey, we deliver pizza as catering,
Hmm.
to, hey, we deliver full service catering.
Yeah.
And then we utilize those ingredients. So we're still not losing in terms of the business side of that funding. So some of that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about mobile and how if you have a restaurant and you don't have a way to go out and do it, you should add it. It doesn't
Hmm.
have to be a food truck. It can be a cart that has an oven on it, right?
Yeah.
There's tons of manufacturers making those now. I think I'm going to talk a lot in that class about what we end up doing is like I am a saleswoman. So I'll sell
Hmm.
the truck for a catering event. I'll sell unis to go out and do a catering event. I'll turn around and sell a catering event in someone's backyard that has a wood-fired oven, all
Yeah.
on the same night. And now we've tripled our revenue in one night with only one asset that's physically going out and doing the work. Um, so different ways to kind of utilize catering and not being afraid of just like going all in.
That's
Those
amazing.
very unique ways of utilizing it. That's you're bringing a lot of new stuff to this podcast and to Pizza Expo, so we're pretty excited about that.
Oh, I appreciate that, Josh. I'm pumped. I'm so excited to be doing this.
We are too, because that's the one thing we always like to bring in new energy and new perspectives and new speakers to the game with Pizza Expo because it's so important to get more voices out there and more perspectives. And I just think that you're gonna have such a great crowd for your sessions.
Oh, I hope so. And I can't wait to just have a moment to share kind of where we're driving. And I think you're right about perspective, right? Like when you come from different spaces, everyone has something to offer. I went to Expo now for 5+ years, and
Hmm.
every single time I learned something new. And so I
Yeah.
think too, that's part of the mindset, right? Like I don't know everything. I don't know hardly anything when I sit in room with all these people. Like the number of information I can grab it's great.
The one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I always love when pizzeria and mobile operators get into the educational component of the business, of teaching others, mentoring others. And what kind of sparked you to do that? And what really drives you to help?
Well, I think even currently today, I'm doing a lot of work in leadership. I think that like constantly self-growth for me is a huge component of like just my life. Um, but with education, so I started out as an educator. I went to
Yeah.
college first and taught kindergarten and preschool, like we talked about earlier. And I
Yeah.
think that like I always go back to those roots of like knowledge is power. And
Hmm.
how can we share the things that we haven't done well? I think there's this piece of me that's okay being vulnerable and saying like we're not always great. This is like why, and this is how you could be better than me, like right now. And I'm a huge cheerleader for people. So I I really want people to succeed.
Hmm.
I hope that everyone's standing in my court screaming just as loud as I'm screaming for them. And so those are things that kind of drive me to want to educate. And I've been so lucky. I've
Hmm.
been lucky to meet friends in this industry that have given me, ideas and advice and just a place to stand. And so those are kind of the components. I ran my first election last year, the year before, and I serve on my school board for education.
Hmm.
I'm just passionate about teaching and continuing to have conversations around education.
I love that. So, random question for Pizza Expo, since you've been going for 5 years. Who's your favorite speaker of previous years, and why do you love
Ah,
them? I know, I'm just getting her on the
That's
spot.
hard. That's the hard question.
okay. Well, maybe what is one thing you learned at Pizza Expo that has been so valuable for you and your business that you just took home and it's like integrated it and was like, oh, this works.
Okay, I'm gonna do two. Can I do two? Is
Yeah,
that fair?
sure.
Yeah, go for
It's too
it.
hard. Um, so I'm motivated by the women in pizza for sure. Like
Yeah.
I'm just motivated by them in general. Obviously, we're talking about barriers that they break constantly. And so maybe not a speaker on the grand stage, but like Laura Meyer is a great friend of mine, but she's also a role model for what like
Yeah,
I
she
could do
is.
in this industry. And she's a champion for me. So that Audrey, Jane, and I, we created the first ever Colorado pizza pop up. I think that came from just watching them inspire others with passion.
Hmm.
Uh, I think Tony's obviously inspiring. It'd be stupid. Like he's the goat. We know that.
Yeah.
But more than just like him being the goat, like his compassion for others in the industry. I
Mhm.
think people of passion is fascinating. Like anyone who is so invested in their skill that they like live it and sleep it and eat it, like I can't get enough of that. And it doesn't just matter if it's pizza, it's like
Yeah.
anything that they're that into. I mean, I'm a graduate or I will have my thing from Bausch. So I think that
Mhm.
he has a ton of business information that you can't unsee that helps you create, the revenue gaps that you're seeking in a lifestyle you're looking for. Gosh, there's too many, guys. I can't. That's a hard question.
I love it. It makes me so happy. But you did spin off some very key people at Pizza Expo that we absolutely adore. And by the way, I think three out of the four are current writers with Pizza Today, current columnists with Pizza Today. So there we go. Or Audrey does our kitchen. Um, Laura Meyer does our need to know. So she's doing all things dough. I just watched an Instagram of her where she had a bunch of people call in and she was pulling a 14-hour day. So the
Yes.
woman does not stop. Like she's
She's
amazing.
insane. We have some news. She called on a bunch of women in the industry to get together and create something. And so it hasn't been dropped yet. And I'm not
Yeah.
the one doing that, but you guys should look for something really exciting coming from Laura Meyer in the future.
There
Oh,
you go.
I'm excited. I can't wait. Hopefully it'll come in around Pizza Expo so we can see what's happening. So, that's fun. Uh, well, is there what going off of what are you most excited about this year as far as Pizza Expo goes, besides speaking for the first time?
Oh man, it's so fun to get back there and have conversations with everyone and feel where everyone's at and how everyone's doing. I'm excited to celebrate with Anna, right? Who
Yeah.
just won in
Yes.
Rimini. I'm excited to hear the keynote from Sarah Minnick in the
Mhm.
morning and where that's going. I'm intrigued by the second keynote, and I should know the guy's name, so you know it.
Eric. Yeah.
Eric.
Eric
Yeah.
on community and like what that looks like for him. I don't know a lot about his story, and I've kind of been like, I'm not going to watch so that I can like
Hmm.
engage when he's talking to us. Gosh, those are a lot of the things. I mean, dough techniques always. I again am not the kitchen lady, so I think I'm encouraged often by my husband to learn more about that realm of work. And it's not I
Uh-huh.
make pizza, I make great pizza, but like the investment or that
Hmm.
passion that I talk about, like he carries that. And so like I need to get better.
Uh,
Yeah.
how much of your team comes out for the expo?
We have a really small team because we operate in mobile and hybrids. The number of staff that we need is so minimal. I think this year I was hopeful that we would be bringing out a bunch of players, but
Hmm.
my son, who works for us full time and is a piazziolo, is headed to Italy to do a food tour
Nice.
during that time, and so I think it'll just be Mondo and I this year at the expo.
Oh,
Right on.
okay, nice. Well, we are so excited, and I will be running around your session, probably taking videos and photos around your session. So you'll see me pop in, and I cannot wait to hear all three sessions of yours. So if y'all don't know, she's doing a session on writing your food truck business plan, growing through catering, and strategically giving to grow your business. So we are super excited to have you on board, and we're thrilled to see you at Expo.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I can't wait to see you all there. And yeah, I can't wait to see you in my class and share all my crazy knowledge with you. Crazy.
Well, thanks for coming on, and yeah, best of luck to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Josh. Look
All
forward to
right,
seeing you guys.
all right, we'll see you in about a month.
Sounds good. Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.